Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV for the return of the Südspeed Sportscar Series. Absolutely loved the first season that went off last year, racing the Ligier LMP3s. Now we've moved up in the world. We're at Sebring International Raceway for round one of the first time using the Dallara P217 LMP2 cars. But many of the same drivers returning from last season. Sebastian Vandel defending his championship crown. There's going to be plenty to think about, plenty to talk about going through this season of sports car sprint racing. And to bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV across YouTube, Facebook, Twitch and Kick is me, Reese Gardner, with Jay Kennedy alongside me in the commentary box, also sitting in the producer's chair and pushing all the buttons behind the scenes, bringing you these live pictures. Jay, Sebring, LMP2, it's a combination that we love and a series that we have grown to love as well.
The match made in heaven, isn't it? It's a perfect combination of cars with the track. It's going to be very, very fun racing as well. I'm really looking forward to this. It's been a very, very big build up to the series, and I'm glad it's back, and I'm really impressed with the car choice, especially now that we know rain is just around the corner, and the guys have said that there's every chance that we could have some wet weather on the horizon as well.
Absolutely. The Tempest weather system is ready for deployment on the iRacing service and will be implemented for the first time in the coming build in just a couple of weeks' time. Of course, we have to focus for the time being on this very historic American racetrack. Sebring International Raceway has been around since the 1950s, but it's been through a countless number of layouts, and but it's always preserved its bumpy and very fast nature. It's a track that these sports cars are very familiar with throughout American Le Mans series and what is now the WeatherTech Sportscar Series racing. So I think plenty of the drivers here aren't going to have much trouble getting used to the goings on around here.
It's probably one of the staple tracks within iRacing now too, isn't it? You see almost every series within iRacing runs Sebring, Watkins Glen and Daytona throughout its cycle of tracks, and I think it's for good reason that people come and race here, because the long straights open up huge passing opportunities. The bumps really work on your technical abilities. I think it's a fantastic track, and it's going to be really cool to watch for this first round of the season.
Yep, 17 turns over 6 kilometers. It's looking like about 1 minute and 47 to 1 minute and 48 seconds is the lap times that we're seeing from everyone at the moment. Nice wide view of Sebring as we check out the prizes. Of course, there will be a $50 Südspeed voucher for the Pro and Am round winners at every round. Of course, you and I, Jay, and myself and Brady, when he eventually comes back into the commentary box, will be voting on the driver of the day. So the winner of that will receive a $30 Südspeed voucher as well. We got cash prizes as well for the championship winners in Pro and Am, and of course $60 for second and $40 for third in both classes, plus trophy for the championship winners. There's a lot to play for in this series.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I mean, it's not just for the best drivers in the field, as in pace as well. So driver of the day doesn't necessarily go to a race winner. It's someone that's made a good move, someone that's made a very clever strategy call, someone that's made a really good avoiding, a bit of avoiding driving to make sure they didn't cause an incident. That can be driver of the day worthy as well. So driver of the day is always something cool. I really enjoyed that last season and looking forward to that again this season too. So it's going to be very, very cool. I'll tell you what else is cool, Race, is the schedule. These are the who's who of US and Canadian racetracks. Have a look at this cool schedule.
Yeah, this is a proper tour of North American road venues here. We start at Sebring, of course, then in 2 weeks' time, we go to Barber Motorsports Park, which is like the antithesis of Sebring. Sebring, very fast and bumpy. Barber Motorsports Park, twisty, windy, and smooth. Road America, Belle Isle, Mosport, Laguna Seca, and Watkins Glen to make the 7-round season. Well, like you say, Jay, it is a who's who of American sports car tracks.
The only one that's missing is Daytona, you would think. Other than that, every other track is there. Maybe Road Atlanta, but you can only have 7 in a 7-round calendar. But I think the 7 that we've got are a really good mix. All different sorts of styles of track as well. So I'm really looking forward to this schedule. I think it is a very, very cool schedule. The other thing I like about it too is it's not too difficult for the guys that we've got in AM class. So this season, big change. It's been the removal of the iRating cap, which we had last season. This season, we're just running whoever wants to race can race, and they've been allocated pro and AM status based on their pace in pre-qualifying throughout last week.
Yeah, that's a very nice change indeed. Of course, I think for the first season of the Südspeed Sportscar Series, it made sense that we had an iRating cap. It definitely set the series apart and made for a very close and tight-knit community of drivers racing there, and it was a lot of fun to watch them race around too. But I'm interested to see how this new class structure works over the 15-minute and 30-minute races that we've got here tonight. It is a sprint format, but a little bit of endurance racing mindset coming in for the 30-minute one. A reverse top 10, so the winner of race 1 starts in 10th spot, and the inverse is true for the guy who finishes in 10th will start on pole, plus compulsory pit stop for at least 2 tires. And you've got to wait until after lap 3 to get that done. We're expecting that it's going to be more or less a 18 lap or so race for race 3, so that's a nice wide window for you to get those tires done.
Yeah, it is. It's a big window, but we've seen in other series that it really is an interesting strategy call. Early on, you don't know what's the right call, whether you go early, middle, or late. And after the first couple of rounds, people start to work it out, and then someone does something different and it throws it all up in the air again. So it's going to be interesting to see who works out the right strategy call tonight. That's going to be a very, very fun thing to look at. Qualifying not far away from finishing, and it's getting quite close and heated at the top of the times.
It is indeed. Dylan Walker coming in over the course of season 1 last year and immediately showed that he has the pace to be a championship contender. Currently is on pole position by a mere 0.02 of a second from Brandon Groach, who finished second in last year's season. We're keeping an eye on the number 1, Seb Vandel, who is the reigning champion of the Südspeed Sportscar Series. Can he improve on a 1 minute 47.253 in the final few minutes of the session? Well, he crossed the line with 1 minute and 40 to go, and this is a heat session, which means there's going to be a hard cut to the end of qualifying. He won't have enough time to get another lap on the board.
No, this will be just a warm-up cider lap for him now to get ready for the race. So unfortunate for him, but he will start no better than P4, although not many around him look like they're going to improve on the timing sheet. We'll come back to that in a moment. This is currently our last place qualifier, but I think it doesn't really show Nathaniel Coburn's pace. He's usually a little bit further up the field than this, so I don't think he's been able to get a lap in at the moment. See what he can do on this one. It does look like an improvement is on the boards.
Yes, well, he didn't set a lap in practice. He was the only driver to not put a lap on the board, and looks like he's going very smooth, very slow into Sunset Bend, and that is going to be the end of his run.
Pit entry.
Looks like, yeah, just testing out pit entry. Actually, Not too sure what was going on there. He was very slow on the way in. Looks to me like the majority of drivers, apart from this group you see on screen right now, are done with their sessions. Dean Hunt for Frog Leap Juice Racing, currently third last of the drivers out there. And of course, Dean, the man organising the Elantra Summer Cup that we broadcast every third Wednesday, up to 19th spot on that lap. Very nice. Dean, a very respectable driver, quick on his day. It looks like that is the end of the qualifying session, and we didn't see many other improvements from drivers throughout the field. That means we can go through the grid for this first race here. 15 minutes tops or 9 laps, whichever comes first. Dylan Walker starts on pole with Brandon Groch second from last season, starting second on the grid. David Turnbull looking very quick for Frog Leap Juice Racing as well. Starts alongside the reigning champion Sebastian Van Del. Lockhart Brownlee is going to start in 5th spot alongside Daniel Benefield. That is a Drop Bear Motorsport lockout of the 3rd row. And team leader Daniel Yeaman will start in 7th alongside Whiskey Business Racing's Aidan Luthwaite. Vinnie Newen, meanwhile, another returning driver from last season, starts alongside Matt Keane to round out the top 10.
From there we get to our first of the drivers in the AM class, but firstly Dylan Gray in 11th position. Then starting 12th will be Brent Nitschke leading the AM class. You can tell the difference between Pro and AM from the red and yellow numbers on screen. So Jonathan Kiley will start second in AM, but starts 13th overall. 14th will go to Henry Fenson, leader of the Fenson Brothers Racing. Just behind is Chris Fogarty and Eric Fenson. So the Fenson starting nose to tail in this one. Saw them have a few interesting moments in last year's season. Jackson Dial starts 17th with Daniel Finney in P18. P19 and 20 is Dean Hunt and Conrad Olchowski.
Olachowski,
I think. You've done better than me, which you always do. James Solani and Sean Benici on the next row. Then we've got Andrew Proctor, Mark Hallowell, and rounding out our field of 25, we've got Nathaniel Coburn rounding out the field. 25 cars, I reckon, is the perfect number for this sort of race.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be short and sharp here, and you'd ideally wouldn't want more than 30 cars going around this track. I mean, Sebring is a pretty big circuit. There's a lot of space for cars, but I think if you were running a 12-hour race, for example, it would be a bit more understandable. Got a full zoom wall up here. Jay, who have we got?
Here we've got Jonathan Kiley in the top left, Seb Van Del, reigning champion, in the middle. On the top row, they've got Dan Yeaman on the right-hand side. It sounds like he's barking orders to his teammates there. Lockhart Brownlee, one of those teammates. You can see he's now talking and Dan stopped, so I think that does show that might be true. And running the Quest, Oculus Quest, is Vinnie Nguyen. So a good range of drivers. Thing with this series too, the drivers that do join us on Zoom, they all get an entry into a raffle at the end of the season. Each entry that comes forward, they get a prize. I'm trying to remember what the prize is now. I got sent, it was half my idea to give away something for getting on Zoom, and I don't even remember what we decided on. There we go. How good's that?
Fantastic stuff. Well, we will we'll certainly bring you that information when it does come to light, but we are approaching the end of the gridding time. The pace car is about to pull away here. It's a rolling start for the Südspeed Sportscar Series. And of course, we've gone for the short formation lap here at Sebring. We don't want to be going all the way around the lap. We'd be waiting too long to get the race started. So we're starting just before the final corner. It's going to be a very quick getaway here. So the likes of David Turnbull are going to have to catch up to Brandon Groch and Dylan Walker pretty quickly if they want any chance of getting this started. Pace car will come into the pits, and the first round of the Südspeed Sportscar Series for 2024 is go. Excellent start by Dylan Walker. Looks like Brandon Groch was caught sleeping a little bit. Him and Sebastian Van Del sharing the same bit of racetrack. Not the first time that's happened. Number 34, Daniel Benefield, gets bumped, and there we go. Round goes Brandon Groch and into the wall. That's chaos on the start coming through turn one. That's unfortunate. First round of a new season, we're going to be having some drivers that are having a little bit of trouble getting up to speed in a pack. Got to be careful of how cold the tyres start on these Dallara LMP2s. Looks like Aiden Luthwaite was also taken off in turn 1, but we've got some big difficulties further back in the field. This is looking chaotic. Daniel Finney, Dean Hunt, Olachowski and Solani all together coming into the hairpin. Meanwhile, John O'Kiley and Daniel Finney very close together with Chris Fogarty in there as well, coming out of the hairpin. A chaotic first lap here, Jay. Hopefully things calm down a bit from here.
100%, I hope they do. I mean, what a start to the race. I mean, great that we've got some great action, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of drivers that'll be a little bit disappointed with how that's played out, none more so than Groach and Luthwaite, who both ended up looped around at turn 1. But the Amfield looks like they've been really clean and got through A-OK, which, considering how messy it looked coming out of through turn 6 and the run up to the hairpin, I'm surprised they got through cleanly, but they've done a great job.
Yeah, certainly have. Things have calmed down all throughout this field. Shame what happened at turn 1 there. It looked like Daniel Benefield got up the inside and then got bumped forward a bit, which sent him into Brandon Groach. I'll have to figure out a replay eventually just to dissect what happened there, but we're keeping an eye on Vinnie Newen here, who's chasing down Seb Vandel, who's fallen to 7th spot here. Lockhart Brownlee has found himself in 2nd, and Daniel Yeaman rounding out the podium spots so far. Turnbull, who started in 3rd, now currently down to 4th spot. There's a long train of cars behind him, not least of which Daniel Benefield, who we know is an absolute force to be reckoned with in downforce cars.
Yeah, he's always going to be one to watch when you've got this sort of car. Just seeing there's a first penalty coming through. David Turnbull has been given a black flag, and we're about to get a replay of exactly why.
Yeah, indeed. This was for causing contact on lap 1. So as we jump to the replay here, this is the start, and Turnbull got into Benefield a bit. Yeah, 702 on the inside, got into Benefield, and then got into Seb Vandel as well. Unfortunately, Brandon Groach couldn't really do much about that. Benefield was a bit out of control, getting bumped in the rear there.
Something's happened to Nathaniel Coburn, Sean Benici as well. They've both ended up with mechanical black flags on this lap. So that's happened while we've been on the replay, so I'm not sure exactly what's happened there.
It was at turn 5, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. Looks like Brenton Nitschke and James Solani made contact, and Nitschke was turned around. He got absolutely T-boned. So we'll keep an eye out here. Look at Brenton Nitschke. He's trying to attempt the move here, coming into turn 5. The door is open, but then closes, and then he loses control and spins, and then the cars behind have nowhere to go.
They've just gone in wrong place, wrong time, weren't they? Just a horrible incident, that one, where they're all probably going to feel a bit guilty about how that's played out, because nobody did much right in that one. I'm sure there wasn't many ways to go. I'm doing a good job with my words so far, Reece.
Don't worry, I am too.
Oh, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we'll keep our eyes out on Jonathan Kiley here. 13th spot right now. And, well, for a driver who hasn't moved from his starting position, he's certainly seen a lot of action, hasn't he? He's right in the middle of this pack. He's got the duo of Jackson Dial and Henry Fenson battling over 11th ahead of him. The two Fenson cars actually battling for the last position in the top 10 overall. But don't forget, Jackson Dial is an AM class driver, so John O'Kiley is trying to chase him down for the AM class lead.
Yeah, it's I think they've done a pretty good job when you look at the AM and Pro splits as well. You look at the top 11 in the race at Pro, and the next 11 are AM. Sure, there's a few guys mixed in just due to pit stops, but That's a very even split. You've got exactly what they want out of it, out of the Pro-Am split. They've done a very, very good job, and I think they'll be very, very happy with how it's looking at the moment.
Yeah, I think they'll be very happy indeed. Let's see what Sebastian Vandel can do, meanwhile, to regain a few spots. Vandel was supreme in the Ligier JSP3.
You've done a better job than me.
JSP23. It's a sequence of letters and numbers. The LMP3 car of last season. Yeah. Yeah, he was very good in the LMP3. Doesn't seem to have quite gotten it together in the LMP2 in this second season, but he's still having a red-hot go trying to make up spots here. Remember, he started in 4th. Would have been close to that were it not for the incident started by David Turnbull at turn 1. And it looks like he might be seeing some opportunity open up here with Matt Keane and Daniel Benefield continuing to scrap over the last position in the top 5. Everyone from there upwards is too far apart for a battle to be shown on my timing screen. So you want the highest position battle in the field, this is where it's at.
Yeah, very, very good battle too, and they'll be fighting for 4th. Remembering just ahead there, you can see David Turnbull in that purple and black car. He will jump into the pits very, very soon and serve that penalty from that incident on lap 1 as Matt Keane almost runs over Dan Benefield. Then he's slowed up a little bit. Seb Vandel nearly runs him over. Oh, a little bit of contact there coming through the Le Mans corner.
Vandel had to back out of that in the middle of the corner, which got the rear end loose. I think Daniel Benefield might be dealing with some damage because, remember, he got contacted in the rear by David Turnbull coming into turn 1, lap 1. So he's really struggling to keep Matt Keane behind him. Remember, Matt started in 10th, Daniel started in 6th, so this is not the kind of pace difference I was expecting to see from these two drivers, but Benefield is going to try and defend into turn 1, but a bit later on the brakes as Matt Keane doesn't have much room to slot back in between the two cars. Here comes Vandel for a move coming into the top 5, and round the outside of turn 3 he will go. Isn't able to clear him by the time they get to turn 5. This is going to continue. Look who else it's bringing into the fold. It's Vinnie Nguyen in car number 14. What a fantastic fight.
Great battle, and Vinny's got a perfect spot to watch on. Watch the battle and potentially take advantage of a moment, because you feel like something's brewing in this battle. Nice work from Vandel to get the spot, but Vinnie Nguyen's ready to pounce if something else happens in this group.
Yeah, he certainly is. And this is one of the corners where something can happen.
Often does.
Collier curve, yeah, coming into the kink that goes to the left. You've got to be careful to stay off that curb, otherwise you are going to spin around in this Dallara LMP2 car. So,
and Solani's just had a big moment down at the hairpin. He's in way too deep inside of the 21 there of Conrad, and makes a little bit of contact, backs out of it, redresses the position, race on.
Yeah, looks like it. Good to see.
Out of the
the stewards.
Race has just closed up big time. Have a look at this now.
Yeah, I've noticed the Jackson Dial has been having a little bit of trouble keeping the rear end in check coming onto the back stretch. Dylan Gray trying to keep Eric Fenson behind him up ahead, but yeah, you're right. This battle has closed up massively. Dial doesn't seem to have much to fight with here against John O'Kiley for the AM class lead. We saw that David Turnbull, meanwhile, took his penalty and has resumed the race in 18th spot. These are the conditions that the drivers are dealing with at the moment, by the way, Jay. Nice cool track, 27 degrees Celsius with plenty of cloud over the racetrack. It is late in the afternoon, getting into the early evening here in virtual Florida.
I think drivers will be pretty happy with those conditions that they're seeing out there. It makes it a little bit easier to drive. I tell you what, Benefield, he's feeling the pressure from behind Vandel and Benefield.
Did you see that?
How good was that driving? I don't know if it's allowed in the rule book, but the defence is very, very strong here, and they're not letting anyone get out of this group. They've got to be careful that they don't allow Dylan Gray and Eric Fenson, Henry Fenson to close in on the back of this group. Oh, contact.
Round the outside of Collier curve. It's a move that can be made but got to be careful to not make a mistake coming into tower like Vardell just did, and that's going to allow Matt Keane back by. This is a very intense fight, isn't it? And you can tell that Daniel Benefield is having a lot of trouble in that car right now. I think still dealing with some damage from the turn 1 contacts. Everyone else is trying to make their way past him, but they're tripping over each other in the process.
They're all making mistakes at Le Mans. They're all pushing way too hard through the mid-corner, running a tiny little bit wide, and then they're getting wheels in the grass, not able to get traction. So they're all checking themselves up. Every single one of them in that group. They've lost about a second to the group behind on this lap so far. You'll be really careful as Matt Keane up the inside of Daniel Benefield.
Oh, there was barely any room given on the inside, was there? But there was just enough room for King to squeeze through. He seems to hit a brick wall in straight line speed. Benefield getting a little side draft coming into turn 1, and they make contact. Oh, Benefield has to give up the position to Vardell, sweeps through and takes the spot. Goes a bit deep though. Benefield now on the inside coming into turn 5. He's going to race for this. Oh, backing out a little is Vardell. More contact, more contact, more, and away they go. They all managed to keep it straight, but only just. Look who's joining the party, Dylan Gray. Look at this. This is fantastic.
You can see on Vinny's face, he wasn't happy about it. Oh no, a little bit of contact, but they've all made it out straight and facing the right direction.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
This is ridiculous.
I do realise. Vinny's shaking his head. He's like, no way, I don't want to be a part of this. But in the same breath, he's got to be a part. There's 10 cars, 15 cars in the same shot.
All I can do is laugh. This was a 4-car battle a lap ago. Now we've got 10 to 15 cars fighting for the same bit of racetrack. This is ridiculous.
Well, we knew that being sprint races, it was going to be hectic. I didn't think it was going to be this hectic, and I'm sure that the race control guys are going to be looking at this going, yeah, this is a bit more hectic than we were expecting, as well as side by side here. That's the leader of our AM class. Is Jackson Dial just being passed back by Henry Fenson, who he did get by. Oh, we can have a breath for a second. In saying that, I don't know how long we can take a breath for, because I'm going to take our eyes away from this battle in just a moment. Have a look at this.
Oh yeah, it is on for second place between the Drop Bear Motorsport teammates of Lockhart Brownlee and Dan Yeaman. Dan to your left on the driver feed down the bottom. Lockie's on the right. Lockie, a former teammate of mine at Fusion Sim Racing, actually the nephew of Brock Kremer, who has been a long-time contributor to the iRacing Oz NZ community.
Or he's having a bit of a sweat going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he's sweating from this battle.
I think so. It's hard work driving these LMP2 cars around.
He's sweating.
Yeah, indeed. Well.
Oh no.
Yeah. Look, it's still going on back here. Dylan Gray trying to keep all of these drivers behind. Henry Fenson, Jackson Dial, Vinnie Newen, John O'Kiley. Kylie's got a car in between him and Dial on the racing line. Vinnie Newen going a bit deep into the hairpin. Manages to stay ahead of the number 78 of John O'Kiley. Dean Hunt and Daniel Finney, meanwhile, fighting hard for the podium positions in the AM class at the moment in this long chain of cars.
Oh, no.
Sebastian Van... Oh, no. Oh, dear, that's not the best place to re-enter the racetrack, but it looks like no one else was harmed in that.
I wonder if he looked up and saw he was on the broadcast and then forgot about the braking point of the corner. He's having a giggle about it, so maybe that was what happened there.
Maybe. Well, out of tower turn they come. We're almost on the final lap here. Dean Hunt trying his best to keep now Chris Fogarty behind him in car 404. But that battle's still going on up the top of this pack. Sebastian Vardell has skipped away from literally everyone as the final lap begins for our race leaders. The top three all on their lonesome here at the front of the field. Matt Keane on his own in fourth spot, and there's Sebastian Vardell, who's made his way up into P5. Benefield still keeping this pack of cars behind him, despite ever more damage creeping onto that LMP2 as he takes the white flag.
Yeah, he's starting to really struggle, but I think this is probably, he'll look back on it and think, wow, how did I manage to hold on to P6 if he can do it? But if he has a moment, any of these guys in this group here are going to lose 10 spots if they have a moment. One little moment is going to cost them 10 spots, so they've got to be careful, push the limits, no more. The exact limit is absolutely everything you want right now. You can actually see there's a fair bit of damage to the front of his car as well. So not only rear end damage, but he's got a fair bit of damage on the front too.
Oh, man. All right. Well, now we have to keep ourselves nice and calm coming into Collier Curve. Meanwhile, up here, Dylan Gray trying his best to keep Henry Fenson behind him. Outside line through Collier. Not quite able to get the power down over the curb, and Jackson Dial is thinking about a move here. Careful, gently does it coming into Tower. It's still not over between this pack, but halfway down the Ullman Straight is Dylan Walker, who's rounding the final turn as we speak. And he was completely untroubled at the front of this field all race. A dominant victory to start off the 2024 Südspeed Sportscar Series season for Dylan Walker. Lockhart Brownlee gets second place, and Daniel Yeaman gets a 2-3 for Drop Bear Motorsport. That's beautifully done by the DBM crew. This is not over. Meanwhile, Jackson Dial fighting with Vinnie Newen coming into Sunset Bend. Vinnie's a little bit too wide to take advantage, but oh dear. That's Henry Fenson, yeah. He has lost spots to both of those drivers, and they all cross the line in twain. Incredible stuff. Wow, okay. So that's going to conclude the racing through most of the field. It's still on for the minor positions here. This is the battle for 22nd. Sean Bonici versus Brenton Nitschke. And Brenton not quite able to get the power down coming out of Le Mans. Looks like every driver we've looked at has been having trouble in that right-hander coming onto the Ullman Straight. But I think Bonici is... Oh, hang on a minute. Bonici goes wide here. What's going on here? Is this a let-by of position? I'm not too sure what the go is with that. Either way, Brenton Nitschke is going to take 22nd spot. We didn't even... Wow, okay. So that battle that we were looking at between Dial, Newen, and Fenson was actually for the last two positions in the top 10. Newen just snuck in 0.05 of a second ahead of Henry Fenson to get the last spot in the top 10 and pole position for race 2. That is incredible stuff. This is your top 10. Walker, Brownlee, and Yeaman. Keane, Varndell, Benefield, Fenson, Gray, Dial, and Newen rounding out your top 10.
And if you're wondering too why the drivers, even though they're not in the same class, were battling as hard as they were, points are allocated as your actual position. So Jackson Dial finishing 9th, he'll get points for 9th position, then he'll get ranked against all of the other AM drivers. So him having a few pro drivers between him and the next AM driver, that's huge for him in the championship as well. So Jackson Dial looking really, really strong. Henry Fenson, as you said, he'll be devastated by that, finishing in P11. Then Daniel Finney, Dean Hunt, Chris Fogarty rounding out the 2nd through 4th in the AM class. David Turnbull recovered to 15th overall after his drive-through penalty. Then we've got Conrad, we've got Jonathan Kiley, James Solani, and Andrew Proctor, Mark Hallowell. And then from there we go back to Brandon Groach, Brenton Nitschke, John Bonici, Nathaniel Coburn, and Aidan Luthwaite with huge damage. And he unfortunately couldn't finish the race in the end. That was a battle and a half out there in the field.
Yeah, that was a very intense, chaotic opening race of the Südspeed Sportscar Series for 2024 Season 1. And joining us is the winner of the first race there, Dylan Walker. I tell you what, Dylan, it's, I mean, the amount of action that we saw on the broadcast, you barely saw any of that. It looked like a nice stroll to the finish for you.
Yeah, g'day guys. Yeah, it was a bit of a cruisy race towards the end. Lockhart kept me honest the whole way home, but it seemed like pandemonium broke out behind me.
Yeah, certainly did. Of course, this being a fixed setup series, it's very difficult to get your eye in around a track like Sebring. It seemed like many drivers had issues coming onto the Ullman Straight. How's the car driving?
Pretty planted. I'm pretty sure it's open setup.
Yes.
So we've been working on ours for a while now. Got it pretty dialed in, so pretty happy with how it's feeling.
Yeah, I'm still in Season 1 mode when it was fixed, but I mean, regardless, it's looking like with the split between you and the other returning drivers from last season. It's going to be interesting to see how different drivers tackle different circuits with that open setup. Are you expecting a bit more in the way of battling from Vandel and Groach in rounds to come?
Well, the order's definitely going to shuffle around at every track for every week. It's just going to be who can hit the nail on the head with the setup. I was doing a bunch of official races when they were here at Sebring a while ago, so got quite a few laps in, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of the boys will be faster than me around some of the other tracks.
Yeah, well, regardless, Dylan, big congratulations on the win in race 1. You are starting in 10th for race 2, so we'll let you undergo your preparation for that. Best of luck, and anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, all the Part Logistics boys, D&D Precision and First Aid Smoke Alarms, as well as all the ORL boys for all the support. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, Dylan Walker, winner of race 1. Of course, Jay, we have a special benefit for anyone watching the race here. If you go to Südspeed.com and you purchase a pair of Südspeed Edition 1 gloves or a t-shirt, sell t-shirts as well, you can use the code SPECTATOR at checkout for 10% off, including free shipping if you're in Australia or New Zealand. That's a pretty fantastic deal right there.
Can confirm I actually have one of those shirts, so I rather like them. I know you've got the gloves and you rather like them too, so they're definitely a good purchase, and we've got another guest joining us.
We do indeed. Vinny Nguyen has joined us in the comms box. Vinny, you are starting on pole for race 2 after that very intense fight for 10th coming to the line there.
Yeah, it got a bit hairy there. I was doing okay. I was just kind of following the 4 guys in front of me, and then all of a sudden it just kicked off, and everyone behind just kind of caught up. So it was a bit of a melee, cars everywhere. Didn't know where to go. I think I got a penalty as well for that for contact, I think.
Yes, 5-second penalty that we are hearing in the broadcast crew chat. But man, regardless, you still managed to get 10th in the end. And I mean, just your perspective of all of that fighting that was going on mid-race, that four-way fight for 5th place between Benefield, Vandel, etc. They just tripped over each other, and that brought you and the rest of the pack right into it. You must have been stressed out there.
Yeah, it was a little. I hadn't thought about making a move. I thought I'm just going to follow him, and look, if a mistake happens, then I can sort of get an easy one. I'll swoop in and take it. So I wasn't going to try too hard, but yeah, when everything sort of just went off at the front, I kind of had to slow down. And you know, when there's that many cars all bottled up together, there's a lot can go wrong, and unfortunately, kind of did. I wasn't race ending, luckily. But I did drop a few spots back, and then from then I was just trying to work my way back up to the top 10. So got there right at the end. I can't remember who it was right in front of me that made a mistake at the final corner, but yeah, that was a blessing.
Yeah, certainly was. Well, race 2 pole, and you'll be starting from that coveted first position. What's your plan, especially considering you're going to have to make a pit stop for at least 2 tyres?
Don't put it in the wall, I guess.
Fair enough. But how much testing have you done regarding pit stops? Because I'm not too sure whether or not taking all 4 tyres is a larger penalty than just taking 2, and whether or not you might have to take fuel as well.
Yeah, I'm planning on taking some fuel. I won't change all 4 tyres, I think. I don't know if I'm giving too much away here, but let's be honest, I don't think most people will probably only take the 2 tyres, so I'll likely do the same. I'm going to have to decide in the next 60 seconds how soon I'm going to stop, so I'll keep the one close to the chest.
All right, fair enough, Vinny. Thanks very much for joining us. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to thank the team, Frog Leap. I just joined, so quite happy with that. Just want to thank our sponsors as well, being Juice. We've got the pet door. Sorry, I'm a little on the spot at the moment, so yeah, but yeah, just thanks to everyone, and especially the team for the support and sort of bringing me on board. Really appreciate that.
Excellent stuff. Vinnie Nguyen in his first outing for Frog Leap Juiced Racing will be starting on pole position for the second race of the night. And we got time for one more quick chat to one of the drivers. We got Daniel Benefield in here with us, who finished in 6th place. Dan, you were also right in the middle of all of that chaos in the fight for the top 5. It started at turn 1 though. You got a little bit of contact in the rear. Did that affect your pace?
Sorry. Yeah, it did. It's left rear suspension damage. That whole race, which was playing havoc, particularly through Le Mans and Sunset. A car, just whenever I'd hit the throttle, would just light up the left rear and not the right rear, and it just super rotated the car essentially on throttle, which probably cost me quite a bit, probably at least half a second, between half a second to a second a lap.
Well, considering all of that, if you can avoid damage in race 2, you're pretty well placed for a good run at a potential podium here.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd like to drive with an undamaged car in this race, because that first race was not very enjoyable, to be honest, just from driving the car. The racing was fun, but driving the car itself was very much not fun.
Yeah, Sebring's a track where you got to have your car in optimum condition for the best possible way around. Well, we've only got a minute and 30 left before getting onto the grid for race 2, Dan, so we'll let you continue with your prep for race 2. Congratulations on holding off most of, if not all of that pack, and hopefully we get another chance to chat to you later.
Yeah, it got a bit messy in the middle there. We just all got checked up a bit, I think, tripping over each other, which is not really ideal. Would rather it be a bit cleaner, but can't do much when we're all tripping up on each other. But yeah, hopefully I'm talking to you guys after race 2.
All right. Big thanks to Daniel Benefield for joining us as well. That was, nice to get a little bit of extra perspective there, Jay, because from our perspective, I couldn't keep up with everything that was going on out there.
I couldn't either, and I've got multiple screens and all sorts of timing, and I could see driver reactions at the same time, and I had no idea what was going on. So I'm sure race control probably thought the same thing. I will say one thing about it: it was so fun to watch. We only had 15 minutes of racing. We'll double it this time. Will be double the action. I'll be happy if it's half the action, because it might make it a little bit easier to work out what's happening. But strategy-wise, this next race really excites me. I don't know what I'd do if I was in the race's situation. I don't know whether I'd be a pit early, pit late, pit middle sort of guy. I guess it depends on where you are in the track, in the group, as to when you pit. I'm guessing if you feel like you're faster than someone else, you're going to pit early. If you're holding someone up, you're going to pit later. I'm not sure what you do.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It's all new to us after quite a break, after the first season of the Südspeed Sportscar Series. Lots of changes. New car, switch from fixed to open setup, iRating cap gone, Pro and Am classes. It's almost a completely different series, but still just as entertaining as it was. Here is the grid for race 2. Nguyen and Dial on the front row. Dial with a big advantage there in the AM class. Dylan Gray and Eric Fenson will start behind them on row 2. Then we got Daniel Benefield starting in 5th, with the reigning champ Seb Vandel starting out of 6th spot. Matt King will start in 7th after a 4th place finish in race 1. Dan Yeaman will start in 8th, and then the top 10 rounded out by our top 2 from race 1, Lockhart Brownlee and Dylan Walker.
Yeah, then the rest of the field is as they finished in race 1. So Henry Fenson starts in 11th, 12th for Daniel Finney, but he will start 10 positions behind the AM class race leader. So going to be hard work for him to close that gap down. Dean Hunt and Chris Fogarty round out row number 7. Row 8 will go to David Turnbull and Conrad. I'm not even going to attempt. I can't do it. My brain is not working. Sorry, Conrad. Jonathan Kiley and James Solani on row 9. Row 10 will be rounded out by Andrew Proctor. Mark Hallowell, then it's a tale of woe for the rest of these guys. They all had some sort of drama. Brandon Groach, Brenton Nitschke, then we go to Sean Benici, Nathaniel Coburn, and lastly, Aidan Luthwaite, one of the pace setters in practice, did a very good job in qualifying, starting from last.
Yeah, after an 8th place start for race 1, that is going to really hurt him. So hopefully he'll be able to get some extra pace here in the second race. The track temp remains about the same, 26 degrees Celsius, though it is getting later in the day. It's 6:15 p.m. in sim time, which means we are likely going to be finishing this race approaching darkness. Bunch of headlights lighting up the racetrack here behind the AI-controlled iRacing pace car. There's going to be quite a bit to think about coming into this race. Remember, after lap 3 is when the pit window opens, and you have to pit for at least 2 tires. You can take fuel as well if you wish. We know that Vinnie Nguyen is going to be taking some fuel. Which tires they are going to be changing, we're not sure. Potentially could be left side tires, considering just how many high load corners there are here at Sebring going to the right. But potentially, if you're putting a bit too much power through those rear wheels, you might want to look at changing rears.
Yeah, or do you change all 4, take the extra time, but then know that you've got the balance in the car back to as you expect? It's an interesting dynamic that I'm sure drivers have thought about, but may not have tested as much as they probably now regret. I know I'd be one of those that gone, geez, I wish I had tested that more at about this point here when you're about to go.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's all over for that now. Everyone pulling away and getting ready for the start of race 2 here. 30 minutes on the clock will start when the leader crosses the line. 18 laps maximum. And of course that reverse top 10. So Nguyen and Dial will lead them away as the pace car enters the lane and the green flag flies. We are away for race 2 of round 1 at Sebring here. Already looking at 3 wide coming into turn 1. Dylan Gray, Eric Fenson and Daniel Benefield. Benefield commits to the inside. Both Gray and Fenson run off the circuit into the gravel, and Benefield is on the attack here as Dial and Nguyen fall into line in the top 2. Benefield has managed to make it more than 1 turn without damage as Dial gets a big spin on at turn 5 and gets pincer moved by Benefield and Gray. Looks like Vandel's going to get him as well coming into the hairpin. Gray is fighting hard here on the racing line, trying to get back past Daniel Benefield as it's too wide almost all the way through the field coming through the hairpin.
I just saw a car run very, very wide there. I'm not sure exactly who that was. Decided to use all of the grass plus more coming through the hairpin. There's still side by side of Benefield and Gray. And a little bit of a moment there too for, was that Dan Yeaman bouncing over the curb?
No! Whoa! Vandel just completely missed his braking point for tower turn and got into the back of Dylan Gray. Gray, I think, has got a mechanical black flag. He's crabbing hard. And that might be a penalty for the reigning champion incoming.
I've just seen a quick look at that, so it definitely will be. Dylan Gray's struggling big time as well. He'll have to limp that back to the pits as you just see a car around. Dylan Walker, that's our race 1 winner, facing the wrong direction.
And it looks like he's got a lot of damage to the front of that as well. No mechanical black flag for now, but oh my goodness, what a chaotic start once again to this race. What on earth happened to Walker? Looks like he was on the brakes hard to try and avoid Dylan Gray. This is how Gray's incident happened. In comes Vandel and just smashes into the back of Gray, and that would have given him damage to the left rear suspension. So that's unfortunate there. Now keep an eye for Walker here as Gray decides, okay, I'm going to take to the runoff area, but unfortunately, just getting on the brakes.
Was a little bit of contact
even
between
more
him
there
and
for
Yeaman.
Walker. Yeah, Yeaman got into him with a little bit of arrested speed there for Dylan Walker. So already we've got Gray and Walker, the 2 Dylans in the field, on the back foot.
And don't forget too, it's too early for these guys to pit with their compulsory pit stop. You can only do it at the start of lap 3. So even if they come in now and use their fast repair, that won't count as their CPS. They've got to come back in again.
Yeah, that's a real shame, as race control have assigned the black flag to Seb Vandel for his part in all of that chaos. Yeah, it is unfortunate, though. The Altus Australia driver up into P3. If he backed off a little bit more coming into Tower Turn a lap ago, then he might have been able to have a proper run at this race. So Daniel Benefield up into second spot. Vinnie Newen still leading the way as we're on board here with Lockhart Brownlee. Eric Fenson having to give way to him. Brownlee a little bit deep coming into Le Mans Curve, and he might have to give up the position to team leader Daniel Yeaman coming into Sunset Bend.
Yeaman's coming in very, very quickly. Can't quite see him. We're going to see him pop up the inside just here. Where is he?
Eventually. There he is. Just a little flash, and he gets up the inside of Fenson as well for good measure on the exit of the final turn. But you don't want to be on the outside coming into turn one. It's very difficult to maintain the outside through this whole corner, but Yeaman's managing to do it. Unfortunately, he'll still have the outside coming into turn three, and Brownlee has to back off. These two slowing each other up now, and they come together a little bit coming into turn four. Turn 5, though, the inside will belong to Fenson, but the exit will belong to Yeaman with a straighter exit.
And Ewan's checked out at the front, about 1.5 seconds, but Benefield did close a little bit of ground on him at the end of that lap, so sure the gap at the front does look big, but I think it's going to close over the next little while. Seeing that John O'Kiley as well has just been passed by Brandon Groach. Remember, Groach started right at the back of the field. He's already now up into 14th position outright.
Yeah, it looks like Kiley unfortunately went a bit deep in the hairpin and ran wide. That's what cost him those two positions. Remember, one of the cars that has made his way past him there is Aidan Luthwaite, who started dead last. Yeah. 8th place start for race one, unfortunately was taken out on the first lap, and he is moving through the field. Oh, Proctor. That was an incident in the top 10 there.
I was worried for a second there that he was stuck in the wall and we may have ended up with a safety car, but thankfully he's able to drive away. Pit lane is open this time by as well.
It is indeed. So who's going to take their move early on? It looks to me like, unfortunately, it was contact with Dylan Walker that put Proctor out. So we'll see how it happened here. Walker, oh yeah, I mean, Proctor was going narrow into Tower Turn. He did leave a bit of room on the inside, but Walker unfortunately just tapping him, and have a look at that. We've got a whole smorgasbord of cars coming into the lane. Vandel, Eric Fenson and Henry Fenson, Turnbull, Nitschke and Walker. So a big group of drivers, and all incredibly quick, taking their mandatory pit stop at the first available opportunity.
Another thing we're not too sure on is how long is it going to take to actually change these two tyres. So 13 seconds for Fenson, 14 seconds, 14 and a half seconds. So what are we looking at? Around between 13 and 14 and a half odd seconds?
Yeah.
A couple of tyres. Dylan Walker, though, is a very, very long stop for him.
Yeah, well, he'll have damage that he'll have to repair from the two incidents that he's had. Maybe he's taken all 4 tyres, potentially. We'll have to see, but Walker makes his way out. Dylan Gray is now in the pits as well, and I don't expect we'll be seeing much of him towards the top 10 after the unfortunate goings-on for him in the first couple of laps. Vinnie Newen still leads the way by 1.2 seconds over Daniel Benefield, and looks like the two of them are actually very close on pace. Newen, his best lap was set last time by 148.149. Same for Benefield, 148.146. Benefield only 0.03 of a second faster, and it looks like the gap's remaining consistent here. 148.2 for Newen, 148.0 for Benefield. So starting to get up to speed here is the drop bear number 34.
Yeah, definitely a bit more pace starting to show now for Benefield. He's got well and truly into some clean air. Jackson Dial still P3 overall. That's huge for him for the championship, considering he's in the AM class. Yeaman and Brownlee starting to close in a little bit. Last lap by Lockhart Brownlee was 6/10 faster than Jackson Dial. So the battle for the overall podium, I think it's done, even though that Jackson Dial's got about 3 seconds at this stage. I think those guys will close in over the next few laps. But the AM podium is still going.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Daniel Finney versus Dean Hunt here for second and third in AM. Looks like Hunt might be the quicker of the two right now, but Daniel Finney does have the better overall pace, it seems. Might be struggling a little for consistency. Let's keep an eye into Tower Turn. Actually making up a lot of time under brakes there is Dean Hunt. So
Finney looked a little bit sideways. Sorry to cut you off there. A little bit sideways coming out of Tower. It looked like he had it too straight, and then all of a sudden he was able to find some grip, but he doesn't look like he's got the rear quite connected as Daniel Finney.
No, it doesn't look like it. I do apologise for my gaffe earlier. I forgot that this series had moved to open setup over the off-season, so evidently a little bit more work required for Daniel Finney and his team to get the rear end of that car under control here at Sebring. But they are stuck with the settings that they have for the time being. Might dial the brake bias forward a little bit. That's just about all you can do to alter the behaviour of the car when you're out on track. Lockhart Brownlee was the fastest car on track that time by. At least he was until Aidan Luthwaite did a 1:48.099. Meanwhile, black flag for Dylan Walker for contact with Andrew Proctor. Walker having a shocker after that dominant race 1 victory.
Yep, all gone south, hasn't it? Ever since he came to talk to you, Reece, it hasn't gone well.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't set a precedent.
Well, I mean, the other guys you've talked to are going okay, so I guess that's a positive to look at. Oh, Yeaman around.
Oh no, that's at the hairpin. Okay. Very, very rare that we see a mistake from Daniel Yeaman, but it looks like he did that one all on his own.
I was going to say, it's either he's done it by himself or he's been taken out by his teammate. Neither of them are good. Yeaman's going to lose another spot there as Brandon Groach. Now, side by side, we said before that you can make it work around the outside there, and he does, so Yeaman will hold onto the spot. Will he be able to maintain it? Yes, he will. The tuck back into single file. Here's the replay.
Yeah, so Yeaman on brakes into the hairpin, just a little bit too late off the racing line there. No grip out there on the concrete, so around the rear end went. Like I said, very rare that we see a mistake like that from Daniel Yeaman.
One thing about this track is that where it's grippy, it is very, very grippy, and where it's not, there is no grip at all. Remembering, this track is concrete, so if it's cold as well, the concrete doesn't maintain the heat like a normal asphalt racetrack would. So all of that stuff is factored in on iRacing. So a lot of drivers may not think about that too much when you compare this sort of circuit to others. Aidan Luthwaite decided he was getting held up. Time to pit. Probably the right move for him.
Yeah, he was right in the midst of that pack, wasn't he? Brandon Groach follows him in. And we were having a brief conversation over what the best time to pit is, Jay. And it seems that, you know, if you're behind a pack of cars, into the pits is where you must go. Try and get yourself some clear air to gain some time on those drivers. And when they pit, you might stand a chance of getting by them without having to do much at all. So, joined by Varndell, Kiley and Benici in the pits, the two we just mentioned. Meanwhile, Daniel Benefield starting to ramp it up here on Vinnie Newen. The gap now half a second at the front of the field, and 2/10 were taken out of Newen on the previous lap.
Yeah, the gap's closing quickly, so now if I'm in Benefield's position, I'm pitting if Vinny doesn't. If Vinny pits, I stay out. Whatever Vinny does this lap, I do the opposite if I'm in Benefield's spot. I'm sure you're thinking the same, Reece. If he goes another lap, he could find himself losing pace. You've got to watch out for those guys that have already pitted, whether they're going to start gaining time. Right on cue, Dylan Walker. Sure, he's got a penalty that he still has to serve, but he's still doing purple lap times. So he's still got pace. Other guys that have already done their pit stops have got pace as well.
Yeah, that they have. Look at how hard Vinnie Nguyen is working the wheel here through the final turn.
There he
And no
goes.
surprise, Benefield moves into the lane. So now Vinnie has to respond. He'll have to go on this lap. Otherwise, he'll have to wait until the last available opportunity. Try and take advantage of a lighter fuel load in the car. So through moves Jackson Dial and Lockhart Brownlee, as well as Matt Keane, Dean Hunt, and Dan Yeaman as Benefield gets into the lane. Lockhart Brownlee trying to gear up for a move on Jackson Dial here, who's showing some fantastic pace despite being in the AM class. He's held on to that position beautifully.
He's done a great job, hasn't he? He's got really good pace. We were actually having a bit of a discussion before the race starts. His one-lap pace is really, really good. One thing that he is struggling with is consistency. His pace has dropped off astronomically from his fastest lap. His fastest lap is a 48.18. Last lap he did a 49.8. Compare that to Brownlee, who did the fastest lap of the race, a 47.8. So, sure, when he's on his fast laps, they are as competitive as everyone else. But finding that consistency is where he's starting to lack a little bit in comparison to the others around him.
And remember, Brownlee hasn't come into the lane either, as that is not a good run through tower turn for Jackson Dial. This is potential time loss here for Lockhart Brownlee if he gets too involved in this battle. Has to consolidate, has to be assertive in the maneuver, and that is exactly what he does. Dial is not going to have a response here. Coming out of Le Mans curve onto the Ullman straight. If anything, Brownlee gains even more time. So some discussion going on in the Drop Bear crew. Wondering whether or not Brownlee and Yeaman will decide to pit on this lap. Question is, do they have enough of a gap? As that's unfortunate for James Salani. SLM Motorsport not having a good time there, as Vinnie Nguyen has come into the pit lane. So
Vinny's responding to Benefield, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Absolutely, he is. Now remember, Benefield's pit stop time was 12.7 seconds. Let's see how quick Vinnie Nguyen's pit stop is. Remember also that Nguyen is right up at the end of the pit lane. Benefield had a little bit more time on the limiter before he exited the lane. Nguyen will be able to come straight out, but Benefield has the momentum with him. Nguyen still stopped. 19 seconds for Vinnie Nguyen. And unfortunately, that's going to be a long, long gap there. Benefield now in the effective race lead by a long way.
David Turnbull now effective P3, third place in the cars that have made their stop. He's only 3 seconds behind Vinny, so he could close that gap down, and Aidan Luthwaite's right there now too.
Yeah, that he is. Luthwaite was the quickest car last lap, 148.136. Not many other drivers could get close to that, aside from the likes of Brownlee and Yeaman. Mark Hallowell also in the lane, and having completed his pit stop, that's a very long stop again. Wondering if potentially Nguyen and Hallowell accidentally took all 4 tyres rather than just 2, but I don't think that'd be the case. When we talked to Vinny in between races, he said he's definitely going to be changing just 2 tyres. He just wasn't sure which 2.
One thing I am thinking from remembering how we did things in, I believe it was V8 Scott Supports and other series where you had a compulsory 2 tyre change. From memory, it really depended on the track as to which tyres you took.
Yeah.
Because you took the 2 tyres that were on the pit wall side as opposed to being on the other side of the car. It didn't matter about the working side of the car. It was all about where your virtual pit crew would be standing. It was a couple of seconds quicker. So maybe that's what Benefield's done. 12 and a bit second stop, almost 13 seconds in comparison to those that have done the 14, 15 second stops. Has he taken right side tyres because he knows that the pit crew will get that done faster?
Yeah, that's certainly an option, and I think the most likely as Hunt makes his way through the lane. I just don't, that doesn't explain Vinnie Nguyen's pit stop time though. 19.4 seconds.
He did say he was going to
stopped in the
splash some
lane.
fuel in the car too, so maybe there was an issue with that.
Maybe, potentially. Not having the fuel checked, Not sure. Because fuel
Either
and
that or
tyres are
leaving
done at
it-
the same time.
Yeah, or leaving it too long to add in too much fuel. I'm not sure. Oh, that's a big moment there for Fenson.
Certainly is. The Fenson Brothers racing team has certainly seen some success in the Südspeed Sportscar Series.
Always a fun battle
Now-
between these two brothers too.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. There's a lot of brotherly love going on between the two bright blue machines. Unfortunately, the Fenson ahead has lost a couple of positions to the cars ahead. Dean Hunt and Brandon Groch now past him, and there we go, trade for position between the two. Henry now ahead of Eric, as Lockhart Brownlee is going to respond and come into the lane. Matt Keane and Konrad Olachowski are the only cars yet to make a visit to the pit lane now. It looks like Daniel Yeaman has joined them in there. I would expect that Benefield is going to make his way past these guys without much fuss. Just at the apex of Sunset Bend now, as the fight is on between Vinnie Newen and Jackson Dial here. Remember, they started in the top two, but Jackson is looking magnificent under brakes at Sunset Bend.
Contact.
Oh, slight contact between the two of them. And I think Newen, though, might just win this battle if he plays his cards right. Everybody's out, and now that leaves Matt Keane as the only car left to take a stop, as Olachowski just made his way into the lane. Out of the pits come the Drop Bear cars. Lockhart Brownlee in third. Up ahead of this fight. Oh, Aiden Luthwaite. Easy does it. Dan Yeaman gets his way past Vinnie Newen, who is dropping like a stone right now.
Yeah, Vinny just eased out of the throttle there and let them all go. I'm not sure what the thinking was there. He's having a couple of connection issues, so maybe that's what his issue is there. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see if we can maybe find out before the end of the race or after the race. But Yeaman's probably back a little bit further than I might have been expecting him to be. He's lost a bit of ground. Other than that spin, he would have been up there with Brownlee in effective third. Benefield the effective leader, Brownlee in second. Matt Keane's still yet to pit. He'll have to pit this lap, you would think, to respond to everyone else. That could have been a drop there 1, 2, 3. I'm sure Yeaman will be not happy with his own performance at the moment.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Dan Yeaman. Big missed opportunity here in race 2 at Sebring. Brandon Groch, meanwhile, has just made his way past Dean Hunt. It looks like that was on the exit of Tower Turn. So Brandon is making good on what was not the greatest first race of the new season. After starting P2, down to 21st after some big damage on lap 1, but now he's up to 11th spot. Could be, actually up to 10th spot, sorry. 9th. He's in 9th. Oh, I keep looking at the wrong timing screen. Tell you what, if the Dial to Newen battle, 4th to 8th, keeps going like this, we could see Brandon Groch looking at moving further into the top 10, potentially a top 6 on the cards for him.
So Yeaman up the inside, better exit out of turn 1 through the kink at 2, done into 3. So Yeaman now up into 6th outright. 5th after we see Matt Keane into the pits. He's going an extra lap. He's going to push this as far as he can before race control tell him he has to get in the pits. Notice that Seb Van Dal's made a couple of spots there as well. He's just got past Chris Fogarty and Daniel Finney.
Yeah, and both of them getting their hips and shoulders out to try and force the issue. Fogarty managing to consolidate the position over Finney. Finney trying to fight back in the braking zone for the hairpin, which changes every single lap. There's a lot of bumps in that braking zone. And every time I drive around Sebring, I find that I can never find a consistent braking point for that turn. Meanwhile, Drop Bear in the midst of a very tight fight from 4th to 8th. Yeaman currently in 6th spot. Dial and Turnbull up ahead, and Yeaman is looking quick as per usual, but it seems that they're just close enough in pace ahead that he's not able to really make big moves on them.
Wondering if that's set up as much as anything else as well. Remembering, as you said before, it's open setup, so maybe he's running something slightly different in regards to wing, or I'm not sure, but that can be the case, that we see something very, very minuscule in the setup, which is just not able to get that top speed. But I tell you what, Yeaman looked really good through the corner exit there. That is so strong at that point.
Oh, yeah, it is. Can he hold the outside through turn 1? Yes, he can. But, oh, does he have the space to move into turn 3? He does indeed.
That's
Beautiful stuff. Very nice. I mean, these are downforce cars, and they produce a lot of their downforce through the underfloor diffusers. So the faster you go, the faster you go. That is what I like to say. Quicker you take a corner, the more downforce you have at your disposal, and it just builds and builds and builds. So if you have a little bit more confidence around the outside of turn 1 at Sebring, you can get the move done. Can you get the move done at Collier as well? Yeaman will flick to the inside here and get on the brakes as late as he dares for a move on Jackson Dial, who goes for the over-under on the exit. Yeah.
Nice work from Dial there.
Yeah, very well done there from the M-Class leader. A little bit of oversteer potentially on the exit of Tower Turn. But you just feel like the move is coming and Yeaman will make it stick when it happens.
Yeah, 100%. It feels like it's just a matter of when, not if. When will that move actually happen? I feel like it's probably not that far away.
Yeah, looks like slipstream down the Ullman Straight is the way to go. But Yeaman doesn't pull out to get the move done. Dial very deep, and Yeaman a bit more to the inside. You don't want to go too far to the inside through Sunset Bend. There's a big bump going under the bridge that gets worse the further to the right you are. So nothing that Yeaman can do into turn 1 this time around. Battle starting to build between Luthwaite and Turnbull behind. It's been a great recovery from Aiden Luthwaite from 25th up to 7th, and it could be a top 6 if Yeaman slows up Dial enough.
The pace that Luthwaite's got, you have to say top 5s on the cards, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
He's probably got more pace than Turnbull. Turnbull's got great pace too, but Luthwaite probably has a little bit more pace. But Jackson Dial does have good pace too. But he's now feeling a lot of pressure from behind. The consistency is where it's going to play out. Run a little bit wide there through the hairpin. Got into the marbles. Couldn't get the power down. He's lost 1. He may lose 2 here because Turnbull's going to throw it up the inside, you feel.
From this far back.
Well, he thought about it. He thought about it.
He had a look, didn't he? Sometimes that's all it takes to unsettle your rival and make them force themselves into a mistake. But Luthwaite now is looking to attack. Well, he's going to be attacking the gravel for a few seconds, so has to do all of that work all over again. There's not much time left in the race. We've got 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. That's a maximum of 3 laps, I think, for our race leaders. Well, our effective race leader, Daniel Benefield. Matt Keane still hasn't made his way into the pits here, and time is rapidly running out to do so.
Got till the end of lap 16 to actually make that compulsory pit stop, so he's still got a couple more laps. As just seen, David Turnbull has now got ahead of Jackson Dial, and Brandon Groach has closed in on this group. He has come from nowhere to get into this pack.
Yeah, Groach from a 21st place start. Dial a little bit offline coming into the first turn here, and it looks like Jackson has completely fallen off in terms of pace. Let's see what Brandon Groach can do to find his way past Aiden Luthwaite then. There was a bit of a difference between them in terms of outright qualifying pace, but Aiden Luthwaite has gained 18 positions. Could be down to 17 once Groach makes his way past, if he's successful in that. But still, got to hand it to Aiden Luthwaite.
Oh, no.
I've just cursed him. I have just cursed him.
We can
massively.
put that on Rich. We'll put that on Rich in race control for giving us the info. Let's put the curse on him.
So Luthwaite now has his front splitter damaged and slightly off kilter. No mechanical black flag, so he is free to race on, but I don't know if that slight loss of front downforce will be will have an effect on his car behavior. as Matt Keane finally makes his way into the pit lane from the race lead, and the field will be cleansed. At the last available opportunity, Daniel Benefield will move through to the race lead, but Lockhart Brownlee is still looking very quick. It's a big gap between the two of them, something to the tune of 8 to 9 seconds. But if there's a problem for Benefield in the last couple of laps, Brownlee is certainly there to pounce.
Yeaman's not settled in P3 either, because David Turnbull, now that he's broken free of that group behind, he started to close that gap in. 2 laps to go. I think Turnbull's probably got enough pace to be there at Sunset Bend on the last lap. So this isn't done for P3. Actually, Matt Keane has come out of the pits ahead of Daniel Yeaman, so he's in P3. Brilliant strategy play from Matt Keane. I thought he was going to shuffle way back around Brandon Groach, Vinny Nguyen, but no, he's shuffled into third outright.
Yeah, excellent stuff there from Matt Keane. Just took advantage of the clear air at the front. Didn't have anyone to worry about. Didn't make any mistakes. And his pace has been looking good too. All throughout this second race, he's run majority of his laps in the 1 minute 48 bracket. Who is that? Nathaniel Coburn, unfortunately. It's been a tough one for Coburn. The last finisher in race 1. Qualified last, and unfortunately doesn't seem to have much of a handle on that 727 right now. Maybe Sebring is just a bogey track. Hopefully he'll be able to get a handle on things, and we can see him a bit further up the field in future rounds. So 45 seconds on the clock, and Daniel Benefield is coming up to take the white flag here. He is a long way ahead of Lockhart Brownlee. 7.8 seconds, less than it was this time last lap, but still, there's a lot of things that can go wrong around a lap of Sebring. Still interesting battles going on here coming into the final turn of the lap. Brandon Groach versus Jackson Dial. Jackson has got to hold on here because he is in the box seat to win AM for the round. Brandon just tapping the pit wall on the way into turn 1. Can't hold the outside. Dial still has to give him room coming into turn 3 though. Jackson's got, I'd say, about 3-ish seconds back to the next car in the AM class, which is Dean Hunt. So he's not under a huge amount of pressure, but he wants to get as many points as he can from this final round.
Good work on your maths there, Reese. I have to bring up a graphic to work that out, so well done.
I have. My live timing was with me on that occasion.
Benefield's still continuing on at the front. He's checked out now. Brownlee doing a good job. Matt Keane doing a brilliant job. The gap has closed from 3.5 down to 2 seconds, but at the current rate, he'll be A-OK as Brandon Groach just gets ahead of Jackson Dial. They're going to be careful because Vinny Nguyen's coming at these guys.
Yeah, he certainly is. This is where it all comes down to it. Final lap of the race. Have to pull all of your cards out and lay them on the table. The number 22 versus the number 200. Keep an eye out for Vinny Nguyen, who is looking very quick in these final stages. As speaking of final stages, last few hundred meters for Daniel Benefield across the line. He will take the win in race 2. But Lockhart Brownlee, with second in both races, is going to be your round winner for the first round of the Südspeed Sportscar Series for 2024.
Matt King, brilliant from him to finish in P3. We were very, very unsure of where he would finish in the end. Jackson Dial, great job from him. Absolutely dominates in the AM class, winning both races in AM.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Really love that. But Daniel Benefield will take Drop Bear Motorsports' first race win of the season and first round win of the season for Lockhart Brownlee. Looks like DBM is a team to be reckoned with here.
100%. They came in with intent of winning the championship. I know, speaking to the guys, that was their aim. So yeah, I'm sure that they'll probably be disappointed with 1-2-4, because I'm sure that they would have been looking for 1-2-3 in every race. But I can tell that Lockhart Brownlee is very, very happy. He's got a huge smile on his face.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, he can take that momentum forward into the next rounds of the season. Got an excellent team with him in Drop Bear Motorsport. So there's plenty of potential for some great drives from this guy and those around him in the rounds to come.
Go through our race results from our feature race. Race 2, dominated in the end by Daniel Benefield. He'll be much happier with that result after a very entertaining but stressful race for him in race 1, with damage but limping home. Finishes first ahead of his teammate Lockhart Brownlee, and then Matt Keane, a great drive from him to finish in position number 3. Dan Yeaman and David Turnbull were enthralling in their battle all the way to the end there, finishing 4th and 5th. And Jackson Dial, great work from him to finish on P1 for the AM class. Brandon Groach, Vinny Newen round out 7th and 8th overall. Dean Hunt finishes 2nd in class, 9th overall, and Aidan Luthwaite from the back of the field to 10th. That is a very, very good drive.
Yeah, certainly is. Henry and Eric Fenson will finish in 11th and 12th. Seb Varndell, unfortunately, with a penalty in race 2, has to settle for lucky 13th. Chris Fogarty is going to beat Daniel Finney to the line by 1.6 seconds there in the AM class, with Brenton Nitschke and Jonathan Kiley behind them. Dylan Walker, another driver that we thought would have had a lot better race 2. Unfortunately, damage and some very unfortunate goings on. 18th for him. Sean Benici and James Solani will round out the top 20. And then Dylan Gray, who started in 3rd for race 2, unfortunately taken out in the opening laps. He does finish in 21st ahead of Konrad Olachowski, Andrew Proctor and Mark Hallowell, the last finishers on the lead lap. Nathaniel Coburn a lap down at the end. Unfortunately, just not having the best of nights there in the number 727. So that's going to bring us to the driver interview section of this broadcast. And of course, I think we should go for our race 2 winner first, Daniel Benefield with us. Well, Dan, you hoped that you would talk to us again at the end of the broadcast, and it looks like that's come true. Good win.
Yeah, it was a bit dicey, that one. I knew I had to hold the track position. Once I knew I had the track position, it was just smashing out the laps, really. Chasing down the leader, who was, I can't remember who started on pole, actually.
It was Vinny.
It was Vinny, yeah, because he finished 10th. Yeah, he was holding his own, but the strategy was pretty straightforward for me, to be honest. Once I caught him, I was going to box straight away and then go for the overcut.
Well, going for that strategy certainly pulled off for you, and it looks like Drop Bear is certainly come to play hard in the Südspeed Sportscar Series. Very good team around you guys, and it seems like you got a good squad of drivers too.
Yeah, I was watching after Matt Keane, because I saw him stay out, so I was watching, well, once he boxed, really, because I knew it was going to be close between him and Yeaman. We almost made it the 1-2-3, but Matt managed to hang on.
Well, regardless, it's some max points in the second race for you, Daniel Benefield, and I hope that you're looking forward to the rest of the championship, because we have an excellent schedule on our hands.
Yeah, we'll see how much I can do of it. Even doing this race tonight, I was kind of pushing it with work tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, work has to take priority over sim racing.
Of course it does. Well, hopefully we get more chances to talk to you in future rounds, Daniel. Congratulations again. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Obviously, Lockhart and Dan. They're great teammates, but it's nice not being, well, I shouldn't say nice not being the only drop bear car, because I've got teammates in the IndyCar series as well. but a nice little prototype squad that we got going for this series. In cozy engineering, hybrid racing simulations, and Revolution race gear, as well as Bowler Media.
All right, Daniel Benefield, race 2 winner there. So now we move through into the AM class victory for Matt Dial, for Jackson Dial, sorry, my apologies. Jay, you stood by with him.
Yeah, congratulations, Jackson. Dominant in the end for you. It was a very, very eventful race too. But race 1, talk us through that first. It was tough with the guys around you trying to fight hard for that reverse grid pole for race 2.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. I couldn't believe I got through on lap 1 safely, honestly. I think I picked up about 5 positions just off the first 3 turns. And then, yeah, the rest of the race was just very tight. I'm in a few leagues, and that was honestly some of the closest racing I've had in a while. So that was, yeah, really good race.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch, especially that last lap as well, where you and Vinny were able to steal a spot right at the end there too. Yeah, took us through that last corner where you stole a spot.
You can ask my teammate in the Discord. I was ecstatic, man. I couldn't believe I pulled it off. I was so worried I was going to hit the guy to my left who ran. I think he was a bit late on the brakes, but managed to clear him and just got over the line in time in front of Vinny. So yeah, that was a thriller, honestly.
And race 2, very, very eventful as well. It was you and David Turnbull at one point, you and Dan Yeaman, and then you and Brendan Groach at the end there. Talk us through those battles that you seem to have there.
Oh, yeah, it was... Honestly, I was just quite new to sim racing, so I'm in real life, I'm used to sprints, so holding that endurance pace is definitely a struggle for me. You can see me drop from 2nd to 3rd, and then slowly just losing a couple temps every lap, dropping back until everyone started pitting. But yeah, there was a couple of really good spots throughout that race where I was defending and trying to keep people back. And yeah, that last lap battle between Brandon Groach was just awesome, man. I thought he had me on the white flag, and I managed to hold it turn 1 and then just hold him off the rest of the lap. So
congratulations, mate. Well deserved victories tonight and leading the AM class the end of round 1. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Aidan Luflate for being an awesome teammate. He really helps me set up the cars. So
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, mate. And Reese, back to you. I believe who have we got next?
We have got our round winner, Lockhart Brownlee, with us in the comms box here with 2nd in both races. Lockie, magnificent drive. Certainly looked like you were right on it tonight.
Yeah, it was a fun race. Haven't had a series that uses the only the LMP2. It's definitely different. I've done plenty of officials and stuff in these, like doing the LMP2 fixed and stuff. But yeah, I've always wanted a series to do this. I've thought of starting my own series that does on the LMP2. So it's awesome that this thing's kicking about. Yeah, fun race. Obviously started, where did I start in that first race? But made it through to P2 by just avoiding stuff and kept it there. But the second race, same thing again, just keeping out of trouble and getting to the front. But had a couple little things there, and like there was a lap traffic that I got a bit of damage in the second half of that. But anyway, I couldn't pull that gap in on Benefield there. Just you lose all that time at the start and you just can't bring it back. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's rough. We're all tight in pace, and you can't reel him in later in the race. Maybe I'm doing a 10th here, 10th there, but you can't reel in 6 seconds. Yeah. But obviously, yeah, the reverse grid makes it really fun. There's a lot of battling in that first little bit, and that's why I lost all that time. But I wouldn't say lost. I'd say more like enjoyed battling people and whatnot. Made me worth the time. So yeah, hopefully it was good on the broadcast. But felt fun.
Yeah, certainly was. I mean, we already had a whole season's worth of great racing in the Südspeed Sportscar Series to go off when going into this one, but I think the increase in speed with the change to LMP2, open setups as well. Obviously, you and the crew at Drop Bear have been putting a lot of work into making sure these cars drive properly. There's a lot of elements to think about, especially around a track like Sebring. You've got changes in surface. You've got the change from daytime into darkness. You guys obviously had a lot planned out before you even hit the track.
Yeah, definitely. So I've cut a lot of laps here before, but yeah, it's definitely had to put the laps in and whatnot to get up to speed, and especially with the tighter competition here, yeah, you got to be really consistent. And if you bleed away tenths a lap or make little mistakes here and there, you're not got a chance at anything. So yeah, definitely had to put a little bit of work in to get this going. But yeah, it's a good series, and thanks for Südspeed putting this on. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll let you get to your victory celebrations, Lockhart. Big thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Anyone that you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the team partners, Anoski Engineering Solutions, Bowler Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear. Help us get on the track, help us get fast. So puts us in for the round win. So thanks to them. But yeah. Congratulations to everyone else that raced tonight. It's awesome racing. So yeah, it'll be around next week, and thanks for putting on the broadcast this week. So
yeah, thanks very much for joining us. Lockhart Brownlee, round winner for the first round of the Südspeed Sportscar Series, a $50 Südspeed voucher coming his way. There is also going to be a bit of a reward coming for Matt Keane, who is our driver of the day after finishing in P3 in race 2 after, I mean, honestly, Matt, from our point of view in the broadcast, we didn't think that strategy call was going to work, but it seemed like all that time running in clear air worked out for you.
Yeah, thanks guys. Running longer was working on the running longer. It wasn't very fun coming back out. I can tell you that now. Those fronts were very, very cold, very, very sketchy for those last 2 laps. But I knew I had the gap to Daniel just to really ease it in and just nurse her home.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, aside from that, at the end of race 2, plenty to talk about for you throughout the rest of the night as well. After starting in 10th for the first race, finishing 4th, it was an incredible bit of racing in the middle. You were obviously somewhere around the periphery, if not right in the middle of all of that chaos that went on for the last few positions in the top 5.
Yeah, Benefield got a small little touch lap 1, turn 1, and it did make his car track a little bit not straight. So it kind of kept checking everybody up a bit, but it was good battle. I was having a little frame issue, so it was hard to actually judge to make the move, but it was tight in there. It was Morse code everywhere, 0X's every time we went to a brake zone, but it was fun. I really need to learn how to qualify. I continue to qualify way too far back.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get on top of that for future rounds, Matt. Big thanks for joining us in the comms box, and hopefully this podium in race 2 is the start of potentially more for you going forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Matt Keane, our driver of the day for round 1 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series. And round 2, Jay, we are going to Alabama. Not too far from Florida, but a very different circuit in Barber Motorsports Park.
One of my favorites, though, isn't it? You know that this is one of my favorite tracks, a track that I love when we go to. So I'm looking forward to this. I can sit back and just watch and try and keep on top of all of the action that's going on, because we'll have Brady back with us next week. Or next round, I should say, and it's going to be a fantastic one at Barber. These cars at Barber will be a magical combo that a lot of drivers would not have tried before and will realise, oh my goodness, this is incredible. So watch out for next round. Barber will be brilliant.
12th of March at 8:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in across the platforms across the world on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. We want to thank Südspeed, of course, for putting this series on. Remember, you go to Südspeed.com and make a purchase. You can use the code SPECTATOR at checkout, and you'll get 10% off, including free shipping if you're in Australia or New Zealand. Thank you all very much once again for watching. And from me, Reese Gardner, from Jay Kennedy as well, pushing all the buttons behind the scenes, we want to say goodbye here at SimSpeed TV.